Lee has a BA from Smith and a Master's in Fine Arts from Rhode Island School of Design. She is currently an assistant professor of art here at Tiffin University. And from there, I'm going to let her tell the rest of the story. So if you please welcome Lee Fearnside.
Well, thank you. Although I feel like I might be upstaged. This is our son, Oscar. You know, it's funny. Normally, I don't really get nervous in front of my classes, but this is a lot more faces than I'm used to really seeing. So, so this project started a few years ago for me, and I started thinking about it really when I moved to Ohio about 6 years ago. I moved from New England, and I'd always loved going to farmers markets, and one of the first things I did when moving to Toledo was find the Toledo Farmers Market. And farmers markets have this great sense of community. You know, you go with your reusable shopping bag and you talk to the farmers and you get your produce and see other people on a Saturday morning, and it's great. At the same time, there were a lot more fast food chain restaurants than I had experienced in New England. We don't really have Rallies and Shake and Bake and Sonic. Maybe they do now, I don't know. But all of the chains that are here. So there seemed to be kind of these two different food cultures going on. And I was interested in exploring that. So the project started as kind of an excuse to photograph people at farmers markets and go meet the cheesemaker and get some free samples. But it really became about trying to find a structure or a reason to photograph these different food producers. And the cheeseburger became that reason. Can I use these photographs in this project to suggest to viewers that there might be a different way to have a relationship with our food? And one of the ways to do that would be to personalize the people who make the food. So that was very rambling and roundabout. The project went on a brief hiatus about 2 years ago, and the reason is wandering around there somewhere. But this is a great opportunity to be able to put it all together in one space, especially in a nice big space like this. Anyone have any questions? James! Totally planted.
What are your plans for the project after this?
I'm so glad you asked that. Well, one of the things that I try to emphasize to my students, and is really true for me as a photographer and an artist, is that art making is a process. So just because I have the show, it doesn't necessarily mean that the project is over. One of the things that I would love to do is take this idea of the local food cheeseburger and work with other artists in other regions of the country to create their own versions of it. So essentially it becomes this series all around the country of little local food experiences. The other would be to make a book. Although the start of that is the catalog, which I hope that you will all take a copy. And I'm really interested in the intersections between art, images, and other disciplines. So that's why with the catalog, I contacted some scholars to write essays. And also next week, next Wednesday, I almost forgot about this, we're having a panel in here, a discussion about people's relationship to food. And there are 3 scholars that will be on the panel. So next Wednesday at 5:30, and I hope that you all will come. And there'll be more food, although no more sliders, but more food to eat. Any other questions?
Yeah, isn't Dr. Bariza on that panel? Because he does research about food.
Yes. Yes, so Dr. Bariza, good plug. Dr. Bariza from here from Tiffin is on the panel, and his research is definitely on people's relationship to food, specifically direct-to-vendor relationships, so food producers and vendors like restaurant owners. Dr. Hogan from Heidelberg University, who's a historian who has written on the history of the cheeseburger and fast food, specifically White Castle. And then Dr. Lucy Long, who started a center for American culture and food in Bowling Green and has a background in folklore. So it should be an interesting discussion about 3 very different disciplines and how they deal with people's relationship to food.
Did you just limit your selections to these people, or did you do other
I did do other people, so there's some people that didn't quite make the cut. There's some people that I want to go back to. The farmer with in fact, the woman who has the tomatoes in her hand, I would love to go back and photograph her. She had great stories. Although she was 91 when I talked with her a year or so ago. Hi, buddy. So hopefully she's still around. But yeah, and I think that also is part of how this project could continue, just finding other people and other vendors and other crackers. Hi, buddy. Let me see your people. She was 91, yes, and now she would be 93. But I haven't been in touch with her for a little while, so yeah.
How did you find these people?
Many of them I found through the Toledo Farmers Market. So the tomato farmer and the onion farmer were two people through them. And I live in Lucky, Ohio, which is about 45 minutes northwest of here, very close to Pemberville, where the meat locker is. And then the cattle farmer in Bryan is a friend of my partner's brother. So it was kind of a lot of either going up and shaking their hands and saying, I'm not a crazy person, will you let me take pictures, or personal connections. But that's definitely something that, you know, as a photographer especially, you have to be able to embrace rejection. Because there were plenty of people who said, you know, I'm not so interested in being a part of this. And okay.
You said some of them didn't make the cut. What were your standards to, you know?
Really, it was more about my photographs and not so much about the conversations that I would have with them. So there were some people who just the pictures weren't very good. And had I had more opportunities to go back, I might have been able to, you know, make other pictures. But I did really want to include the stories of the people, and that's why there are those little kind of intro panels, because that was part of the project for me is kind of hearing people's stories, and it makes it more compelling, more personal. Yes?
You ever thought about displaying them digital?
Yes. There is a little blog, which hasn't been updated in a while. It's on the back of that. So that has more pictures. Also in the catalog, there are QR codes or URLs to little videos, which have the interviews, the audio from the interviews, and a slideshow essentially. So there are more pictures that way. So I'm definitely interested in multimedia approaches to this project. Well, thank you, and enjoy more of the food and the drink and the panel next Wednesday at 5:30. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.